West Pensacola, born and raised. On the beach is where I spent most of my days. Bump. So there's a sign back there, and I've seen a couple around town. They're religious signs, and it said in the beginning God created, and I guess it's saying that the Big Bang Theory isn't real. I don't know what it was. I didn't really pay attention, but the gist of it is that what's in the Bible is the truth. And while I can understand that, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that science and religion are the antithesis, that they're opposites, that they're against each other. I think they work together, and I think the more science does, the more they'll find out that, I don't want to get into that, I guess, but I think science backs up religion. I think religion, I don't know, maybe that's too slippery a slope to get into, but basically what I'm getting at is I don't take the Bible literally. I take it as more of like an allegory. I believe that certain events can be historically proven to have occurred. I believe that what is in the Bible is the truth. I don't think it counters science necessarily. I mean, there's some things that might be unbelievable from a science perspective. Like, I think there was 24 hours without night or something. I don't know. But basically, and part of this I'm basing on, we're doing a Bible study currently on the book of Revelation. Wow, 2 red lights right in a row. Awesome. But we're doing a Bible study in Revelation, and our pastor prefaced it by saying that the way Revelation is written is to give, because most of the stories were told orally before they were written down, but what he was saying is that the book of Revelation should be taken as a whole, as opposed to torn down bit by bit details. This means this and this means that, because that's where we are in our society. We like to break things down into little pieces and find out what each thing does, and then bring it out and see what the whole means. But Revelation was written in a way as to convey a certain emotion or a feeling in regards to the story being told, not to be detail oriented and get bogged down and, well, the lion represents this and the sword represents this and the lion. I mean, you could still do that, but you get bogged down in those details. And I kind of look at that as the way the whole Bible is kind of written down. If you get caught up in the details, you're going to lose the meaning. Whereas in our society, we work the details out. We go into the details and bring it out. It's like when you go watch a movie, you see the overall story of the movie, and then when you go back and rewatch it, you can pick up on the little things. This happened, that happened. Oh, this was a foreshadowing of this event, or because this happened. I mean, Community too, the Community TV show, they do that too. They have like a little non-narrative story that goes on in the background about one of the characters, which is kind of a neat thing, a neat detail, because it's not written into the script, and if you're not paying attention to the actual show, you will miss out on that. But it's a pretty neat little thing. So in the Bible, I consider the same way. Like, I don't think, like, the story of Genesis, and God created everything in 7 days, which I kind of wonder if, like, if we base that on our days, like, how can you do that when there's no actual Earth present? I mean, a day on Earth is one rotation, 24-hour period. And if there's no such thing as an Earth or a sun or a moon or even that matter of time itself, then how can you say it was 7 days? I look at it as like our week is based on what went on with the creation. Like, We have 7 days, and in 7 days these things happen. And on the most important being that on the 7th day we rest. And, you know, we work 6 days, and we take time off on the 7th day. That's the way I kind of take it. Well, that's a cool building. So, I mean, I'm solid in my faith. I mean, I've talked about Luke 10:27. Love God, love others, love your neighbor as you do yourself. That's one of my favorites. I think that's the key to everything, is just love. You know, the Beatles, love, love, love. All you need is love. It's a nice little area. But these houses cost a pretty penny. A pretty penny. Look, that one's a brand new one. That's a big house. Oh, those are big houses. Here's a little roundabout, little turn. What do you call them? Look at these dudes. Just sitting on a bench, enjoying life. But that's the way I take the Bible. If you start taking everything literally, you're going to get really bogged down. In fact, there's a couple of stories in the Bible that kind of contradict themselves. It's when David takes the census. There's some numbers that don't quite match up. There's some events. One story, it was God put it in David's heart to take a census. Another story, it was Satan, helicopter. So, I mean, if you get bogged down, you get caught up in the details, and you're going to lose the meanings of what's going on. And if you don't read the Bible, you don't read the Bible. That's fine. But I try to read it every day. I wonder if that's the same cop we just passed by. So yeah, these billboards around Pensacola that I'm seeing, it's kind of like religion versus science, and I don't think that is appropriate. I don't think the two should be against each other. I don't think, you know, you could be for science and you can be for religion. I mean, you ask any doctors, and they'll tell you that you know, there's certain things, you know, these people should have died, or they, you know, they shouldn't have. Whatever happened, it shouldn't have happened based on science, but through whatever medical miracle it did, you know, and that happens, you know, an anomaly or whatever. If you want to chalk it up to not a higher being, that's fine, but a lot of times, you know, there's just no explanation other than a higher power. And when I look around nature, I mean, there's such a universal, like a math to it. You know, you look at certain flowers and they all look very similar. They're all different, but they're all very similar. You know, same thing with humans. We're all different looking, but we're similar, you know. And I don't think that's an accident. I guess I'm getting a little philosophical here, but basically, you know, you look out at the beauty of nature, and there's a certain repetition, certain math to it. You can call it science, you know, and that's fine. I mean, I don't know. I'm getting into some stuff I probably shouldn't get into, but basically, what I don't think that science and religion should necessarily counter each other, you know. And I think when they do, it's because people take the Bible so literally. I think that's where you get into trouble, and I don't think the Bible should be taken quite literally, especially when you get into all the different translations. There's a lot of different translations. Certain translation will say this for this verse or that for this verse, and you put the two together and they don't quite make sense. Yeah, scooter. You know, it's and that's even just in regular English. You know, we make certain meanings don't mean the same thing when taken in context. When you take some, like that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first full Bible was written in Greek, if I'm not mistaken. The Septuagint, the 70 books. I think that's the first time it was ever written all together. Now, prior to that, it was written in before the New Testament, basically. The Torah and Pentateuch and all that. I think that was written in Hebrew, maybe. I'm not 100% on this, but basically you have the first written Bibles in Greek, and then from Greek it was translated to all different languages, and then you have translations from those translations, so that kind of bogs the message down. And then you have, like, the King James Bible has some errors in it that have kind of stuck with us. And you could say, well, it's the Word of God, how can it be wrong? Well, it's the Word of God interpreted through man, and man is definitely not perfect. Woman, however, I'm just kidding. But yeah, a little philosophical there this morning. I'm going to the beach. This is our last day here in Pensacola. We're going to go hit up the beach again this morning. We're going to go hit the Naval Air Station after this. Go look at the museum there. Bicycles. There's some brave souls there. I don't know if I would take a bicycle across this thing.